Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Ruchai Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Babylon the Great, the Standard of Wickedness. Babylon the Great, the Standard of Wickedness. What you're looking in front of you as, or what you're looking at in front of you is Times Square, down in New York City, the crossroads of the world. This is where everybody gets there and draws the inspiration from. This is what everybody aspires to be like. This is what everybody wants to, achieve in their lifetime. Salakia. Because this is the dream that has been pushed to the world. And this is the standard that has been pushed to the world to be like. I got a couple of words I want to look up. Got some precepts that I wrote down. And this lesson pretty much comes through the inspiration of a video I was watching yesterday with the brother Micah Allah from LA called The Cup. Now he's live right now. I was watching some of his video and I actually got another precept off of the lesson he was doing today. I got a couple of them off of him yesterday, so I got one of them, from his lesson today, which I added to the lesson that I have. So what we see is the world conforming themselves to this. This is a part of the image, This is a part of the image of America, of Babylon the Great, of the beast. Her ways, her, this revelry, this rioting, the military is a part of it, the governmental agencies and the way that things are set up, and overall the whole way that America is, their ideologies, her ways of, of being, how she carries and conducts herself, and this is what everybody aspires to be like. You don't see people trying to, around the world trying to be like the Roman Catholic Church. You don't see them everybody wants to be like the Russians. Everybody wants to be like the Hamites. Everybody wants to be like the Moabites. Everybody wants to be like the Ammonites, the Elamites, the Ishmaelites, so on and so forth. No, everybody wants to be like America. So in essence, what are they doing? They're impersonating America. I looked up the word impersonate on the vocabulary.com. It said impersonate means to pretend to be someone you're not. And why are they pretending to be someone that they're not? Because of the standard that's being pushed here in America. And that standard that's being pushed here in America, which you can see here, this pretty much is the picture that people have in their mind of success. The exaltation, the climax of where you want your life to be. This is it. It's all held here, in the hands of America. And this is what everybody is aspiring to be like. So it goes on to say, impersonate means to pretend to be someone you're not. If you impersonate a bank teller, or let's skip down to here. It says impersonate comes from the Latin in and persona, meaning to invest with a personality. And drinking of this cup, which we're going to get some precepts on that, drinking from this cup of the harlot pretty much causes people to invest, into the personality of America. Because overall, what they've painted around the world is that this is the standard of grandeur, so to speak. This is the standard to achieve. This is the ultimate goal. Never mind, the scriptures say, let's go real quick to the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12 and verse 13. It says, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. which this is dealing with the Israelite man, but eventually all nations will, partake and be a part of this, because they're going to have to conform to the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh, B'Hashem Yahushai, while the Israelites, But this is the whole duty of man. This is what should be the inspiration, the standard. But no, what is the standard? You got it right here. Babylon the Great, America. So it goes on to say, it often is used to describe someone posing as someone else for criminal purposes. But in this case, well, you could say that, because they're posing as someone else. These nations are posing as Americans or as America for criminal purposes, because these acts that they're doing are really criminal. You see, the acts that they're committing are really criminal. This is why it reads in the book of Exodus, which they claim to follow, the 23rd chapter and the 2nd verse, thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil. So if a multitude is going to do evil, you don't go along with the crowd. If the majority of the crowd goes for something and is wicked, you're not supposed to go for that. Now, if the majority of the crowd is going for something that's righteous, then that's a different story. But we know in this society that whenever masses of people follow after something, it's usually wicked. You see? So it says, thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment. And this is pretty much what's happening here in America. People are following the ways of America, the standards of America. They're impersonating America. And what they're doing is America is seducing them to do these things. And ultimately, what are they doing? They rest in judgment, because the ideologies of America are everything that's negative against the Most High is being exalted in this society and around the world. So the mindset of the average person that is caught up in the wonders of America is to go against the Most High and to exalt the standards of America. All right, which brings me. It says, but you can also impress. Well, let's this is good. Let's go now to the word standard. Let's see what it says for standard. Standard is an ideal or set of criteria that you use to judge things against. All right, now let's jump down here. If you complain that the soup isn't up to your standard, you're comparing it to an ideal and find it lacking. And America has been talking about how they're this beacon of light, that they're the epitome or the great example of following after God, and God we trust, God bless America, and all this crap. But really, when you check out the actions, it's all about the actions, that you see that shows that this place is lacking. Just like when we go back to Daniel the 5th chapter, the handwriting on the wall, as they say, and it says this, Daniel 5:24, then was part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written. And this is the writing that was written. Many, many tekel upharsin. This is the interpretation of the thing. Many, the Most High has numbered thy kingdom and finished it. And pretty much the actions of this place is what's causing this place to finish. It's finished, because as the brother here put, Isaiah 5:20, woe to them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, and that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. So what do? They put the Most High's words behind them. Matter of fact, let's get that real quick. Let's go to Psalms chapter 50 and verse 16. Because there is a standard. Did not in 1983 Ronald Reagan proclaim the Bible through federal statute to be the supreme law of the land? Look it up. I believe it was federal statute, I forgot if it was 1211 or something along those lines. But pretty much what it is, they so-called exalted the Bible, or the idea or thought of it, but then they cast it behind them, as it says here in Psalms 50 and 16. But unto the wicked, which is Esau, the Most High saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes? To declare means to make clear or to proclaim it. So why are you declaring my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? Because they hold on to the Bible, they act like they're for the Bible, but then when you look at their actions, it's totally contrary to the scriptures. So what the hell is going on? Seeing thou hatest instruction and castest my words behind thee. And that's exactly what you do. You use the Bible when it's beneficial for you to get a certain particular thing done, but then you throw it away to the side, and then you bring forth your own agenda. And when you compare the agenda, you compare notes, and you look at what you're doing in contrast to what's written in the scriptures, they don't match. They go totally against each other. So what's that called? That's called a hypocrite. All right? So it goes on to say, this is the interpretation of the thing. Many, the Most High, have numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Just like he did the ancient Babylonian Empire and all other empires that came and went. The Most High numbered this kingdom and is about to finish it. Because it is finished. But there's just, a few more things that have to be done before her fate is completely sealed. You dig? Tekel, thou art weighed in the balance and are found wanting. In this case, it was given to the Medes and the Persians, but back then, the ancient Babylonian Empire. But today, America is going to be transferred over to Yahweh hands. / the elect of the nation of Israel, and eventually, when the kingdom is established, the rest of Israel. All right. So going back here, let's read that again. Seeing thou hatest instruction and castest my words behind thee. So that's exactly what you do. So the word standard is, if you complain that the soup isn't up to your standard, you're comparing it to an ideal, finding it lacking. Just don't be surprised if the chieftain accidentally spills it in your lap. The economy used to work by the gold standard, where $1 equated a fixed amount of gold. A standard can also be military flag or banner on a pole, or a popular old song that's considered a classic. So pretty much a standard is something that you set up as something to follow. When you set a standard is an example of something to follow, as well as some of these other definitions. So America is, or Babylon the Great, which is America, is the standard of wickedness. Because the people that are running it are the wicked. Let's go to Job 9:24. Nice, easy, basic building block scriptures that say a whole lot and are so very deep in itself. Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So who did these things? Who committed these acts? And if you say any other nation outside of the so-called white men, the Edomites, then you're a goddamn liar. Because they are the wicked. The Edomites are identified as the wicked. It said that the wicked will cover the faces of the judges. And how have they done that? By putting up their own faces. This is why the scriptures speak about them speaking blasphemies. All right. Now let's see. Let's look up some of these other words. Let's look up the word mimic. This is one that I wanted to look up. And then I got something else. A mimic is someone who is good at imitating others. Mimic related to mime, an entertainer who performs using gestures, not speech. Because pretty much what you're doing is you're following behind a person's everything that they do. It says can be traced back to the Greek mimestai, to imitate. And pretty much America is the standard of wickedness that the world is imitating. Check it out. When you look at these other nations, they didn't look like this years ago. Now all of a sudden you go to Singapore, you go to China, you go to Japan, you go to these different European nations, you go to Africa, different places you go to, you're going to see this. Because they're trying to mimic, or they're mimicking the golden city. All right. All right, now let's go back. It says, usually when you mimic someone, you imitate them in order to make fun of them, but not in all cases. It says, performers mimic famous people to get laughs, but ordinary people mimic others when they're angry at them. Who hasn't mimicked parents or boys? Yeah, but they didn't mention the part of mimicking someone because you want to be like them. Just like Esau wants to be like the Most High, so he's trying to mimic the Most High in altering the Most High's creation. Let's look up a couple more words and then we're going to get to some of these precepts. Next one is emulate. Let's see what it says for emulate. Emulate. When you emulate someone, you imitate them. See? Especially with the idea of matching their success. When someone is impressive because of their great skills, brains, strength, or accomplishments, see? Because remember, the scriptures say, which we're going to read, that all the world wondered after the beast. You know? Which America is a part of that beast. America is the standard of that beast. America would be like the modern day Rome. Because the Roman Empire was vast, it was great, but you had the center of it, which was Rome, which today would be America. And those European nations over there, those are a part of America's allies. But she's the one that's setting the standard for the world. It says others will emulate them. It says to emulate is to imitate and model yourself after someone. People emulate role models. People they want to be like. You know? So pretty much that's what the world is doing, because what is everybody doing? They're doing everything that America does. Not only this, but also, that pride, Now they got a month of June for them, for the alphabet people, Then that's something that's worldwide. They're going to these different nations, ancient nations, that men don't play that bullshit about the women being over them and trying to give these women equal rights, and these stupid hoes are all with that. And the men ain't going for that shit. This is all a part of pushing that, standard of wickedness upon these nations. And the thing about it is that the kings of these nations, the nobles of these nations, are allowing it because America is paying them. You see, that's why they're partaking of that cup. All right. Let's see what else we got. One more. Oh, we already looked that one up. Standard. All right, now let's look up this one more thing here. It's called mirroring. Mirroring is the behavior in which one person unconsciously imitates the gesture, speech pattern, or attitude of another. Mirroring often occurs in social situations, particularly in the company of close friends or family. The concept often affects other individuals, notions about the individual that is exhibiting mirroring behaviors, which can lead to the individual building rapport with others. And pretty much this whole concept is pretty much what these nations are doing. And this is the beef that the Most High got with these nations. Now let's hit some of these precepts. I didn't put this in the, I usually put stuff in the description box. I didn't put this in there, so you could just go type in mirroring, go to the Wikipedia one. There's more to it, but this is the main point. So now let's go from there to Jeremiah 51. Like I said, I got a couple of precepts from the brother Micah Allah, priest Micah Allah out there in LA. He was doing a live a little while ago, and he read a scripture, and I said, oh, this will go good with the lesson. So I actually added it to the lesson. So Jeremiah 51:7 reads, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand. See? So this Babylon, which is America, Babylon the Great, they have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, because the Lord used America to push their agenda on the whole world, and the whole world now is just like America. You type in China, type in American businesses in China or something like that, American businesses in Japan, or you could type in McDonald's in Japan, McDonald's in Singapore, McDonald's in wherever. And you're going to see that these nations are just like that. And when you go to these different cities around the world, they all have skyscrapers. Skyscrapers is a thing of America. The very first skyscraper ever built, besides the Tower of Babel or Babel, was an insurance company in Chicago back in the 1800s, I believe it was, that was 10 stories high. And it towered over all those smaller buildings around. It was the tallest building in the world at the time. Then they started building from there. So when you see these nations, you type in downtown China, or cities in China, or cities in these different nations, Singapore or whatever, you'll see that they look just like this, just like America. So in essence, they're mirroring the structure, the buildings, the businesses, the ideas, you see, and everything like America. That's why America is known as a great harlot. Because what is a harlot? A harlot is a woman that sells her body. And you have many men that want to get with her. If they have the right amount of money, they can get with her. They can pop her and all that. And so she is the one responsible for having sex with all of these different men. So all of these different nations are a representation of the Johns. And America is that harlot that they all laying down with. And they're doing everything like America does and is doing. That's what the Lord calls her, the abominations of the earth, the mother of harlots. So going back, it says, Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. And when you look at the word drunken, it goes back to the Hebrew word shathai, I believe this one does, which means to drink. Yeah, see, now all of a sudden this fucking bullshit. Let's see if I go here and see what happens. Yeah, they be fucking with shit. Yeah, see, now all of a sudden it can't be reached, you fucking devils. And that's why we curse, man. If you don't like we curse, then go watch, somebody else. Let's see. You got all this bullshit going on in the world. The language you guys use. What about the fucking language you use? Fucking people are a trip, man. Your mother talks like that, your father talks like that, the people in the world talk like that, and you don't have a problem with it. But all of a sudden, we say something like that, you got a fucking problem with it. Man, just move along. Everybody always want to fucking, block you in, just muzzle you in. The fuck out of here with that bullshit, man. All the earth drunken. I'm sorry, Shakar. Shathai is to drink. Shakar is also drink. It says to be or become drunk, or really goes into drunken. Or drunken, be intoxicated. So how do you become intoxicated? By drinking liquor. You might drink a glass of yayan, or you might drink a shot of, whatever your liquor, preferential liquor is. You might drink a beer, and you get like a little buzz. You start feeling nice. But then the longer you stay at it, the more drunk you become. And that's what these nations are. So the liquor is what? The ideology of these nations that is being funneled through the cup of America, Babylon the Great. And they're taking it down. They're drinking it down. And what happens is they're becoming inebriated, which is a fancy way of saying drunk. And they're mimicking and doing everything that America does. You can look it up for yourself. The world is not following the standards of South America. The world is not following the standards of China or Russia or Japan, or Australia or any of these other countries. They're following the standards of America. Because this is the great harlot. Let's go back. To become drunken, to make drunken, cause to be drunk, pretty much to make drunk by drinking out of that cup that these devils have pushed around. in the form of their ideologies, their democracy, you know, their religious ways, you know, and ultimately their ideologies, you know. Let's go from there to the book of Revelation 17 and 18. It says, "And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. And America, which is the woman, which is the harlot, is a great city. And she does reign over the kings of the earth." This is why she imposes her will upon all of these different nations. Nobody's trying to be like anybody else. Everybody's trying to be like America. Now we're in the waning years where a lot of these nations have been built up, you know, but they're still following behind the customs and the ideologies and philosophies and things of America still. Look at how they mimic. Now when we jump up to the first verse, it says, "And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials that talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters." So this great whore is America. And there is a judgment coming for this great whore. And what does this great whore do? She sitteth upon many waters. What do these many waters represent? Is this talking about actual seas? Is it talking about rivers? Is it talking about streams? Is it talking about gulfs? Is it talking about lakes? Is it talking about oceans? When we jump to the 15th verse, it says, "And he saith unto me, The waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues." So it's a representation of people. That's why in the book of Jeremiah 51, I believe it is, it speaks about the mingled people. It might be the 50th chapter that speaks about the mingled people. So this whore is sitting upon many different nations. You see, then you had back in the days, Ellis Island, which is where the Statue of Liberty sits, in that, you know, over there. That was a haven for so-called immigrants, or for immigrants coming into this land. You know, because this would be that great pot, you know, that great melting pot where all nations came to. They wanted to come here, what? To become rich. Why do you think Issachar and Zebulon and Asher and them are trying to get up here? Naphtali, they're trying to get up to America. They're not coming up here to learn how to dance. They're not coming up here to learn how to play guitar or whatever instrument that they play, the flute, the trumpet, trombone, whatever they play. They're coming up here to get money. They're coming up here to get prestige. They're coming up here to live the dream. And they'll be willing to give up their beliefs in order to achieve that. Because this is a great harlot, and she's painted that picture that if you give her your hand, she will make you to be splendid like she is. But it's all smoke and mirrors, man. It says, "With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication." And this is how they've committed fornication. They've allowed the indoctrination of America to be brought into their country. They've allowed the ideologies of America to be brought into their country, among their people, to the point where everybody wants to be like America. They used to say it back in the days before they found out the hard way. It was taught that when you come to America, the streets are paved in gold. You know, you'll be super rich. You'll live the American dream, until they actually get here. Now, you know it's bad when, because Issachar, you know, they were doing bad in their country at one time. You know it's bad when Issachar wants to go back to Mexico. They'd rather take their chances in Mexico than be here, because of the waning years of this place. But the idea of it before was, oh, this is the golden city. We're going to go there. We're going to become rich. We're going to be able to bring our family members here, raise our children here, live the life. It says, "And the inhabitants of the earth," the inhabitants of the earth, all peoples of the earth ain't trying to be like the Roman Catholics. You have some clowns talking about that the Roman Catholic Church is Babylon the Great. Are you out of your fucking mind? And the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of a fornication. See? And fornication means adultery. Because pretty much when you conform to the religious ways and the customs of another nation outside of your nation, you're pretty much an adulterer to your nation. Especially you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. Whenever you conform to this devil's ways, you're pretty much committing adultery against the Most High. Let's go real quick to Jeremiah 3. Because you're the main ones that the Most High got to beef with. He got to beef with the nations too. But you're the ones that this message is really for, because you're the ones that have the hope of salvation and being delivered from the judgment that's coming to this place, America. Only if you're part of the elect. This is Jeremiah 3 and 14. Turn, O backsliding children, saith the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Shai, for I am married unto you, and I will take you one of a city and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion. So when a woman breaks wedlock and goes and lays down with another man outside of her husband, she becomes an adulteress. So we as a nation are married to the Lord. The Lord is our husband. So when we go and deal with these other nations, we become adulterers. So that's why it says here that the kings of the earth and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of a fornication. And all one needs to do is go back to see who the world is mimicking. What is the standard of the nations? What are they trying to be like? Who are they aspiring to mold themselves to? Hands down, America. So it says, so he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast. The woman is America. The scarlet-colored beast is the beast with the 7 heads and 10 horns, which is a representation of all of these different so-called European empires that have ruled from the Greeks all the way to the British. And America sits upon them. Why? Because they are carrying her. They are carrying her almost like she's royalty, because America is the one whose policy stands in the world among NATO and the EU. It says, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. So what are the names of blasphemy? They say that they're the Most High, they're Yahweh Shai, they're the angels, they're the Israelites, the Christians, so on and so forth. It says having 7 heads and 10 horns, and when you read further down, it explains to you what those 7 heads and 10 horns are, which are these different empires of Esau and their 10 common market nations, your so-called European nations, which are Edomites. That is what comprises the whole beast. Then you have the beast, with the 10 horns part of it is the EU. Then you have NATO, which are all of these different European nations coming together as one. Because this is the Lord bringing back that ancient spirit back, to these different nations of Esau. Bringing them all back together so that he can destroy them. Now let's go over, I'm sorry. It says, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, because she was in a prestigious royal, position, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. Yeah, because when a hoe goes out on a stroll, she don't go out there all raggedy, the wig tipped to the side, the lipstick all messed up, dirty drawers, ripped up, whatever she got on. No, she go out there looking her best, smelling her best, with the most provocative things. She puts on that feminine wiles charm so she could allure as many men as possible. And this is why the Apostle John wondered after the woman, because she must have looked very alluring. his jaw was probably like draped or gaped open, like, like, wow. And that's where the angel cursed him out. I said, man, why are you marveling at this hoe? Pretty much. I'm going to tell you, what this hoe is. So it says, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. Yeah. So these adulteries, these abominations that are in this cup, she's pushing it around to all these other nations, and they're drinking of it. And they're gulping it down, inside joke. And all you have to do is look at the things that America does and look at the things that these nations do. Look what America does, look what these nations do. Look what America does, look what these nations do. Look what America does, look what these nations do. So every time America puts something in that cup, they gulping it down. And they pickled in it. Like I said, inside joke. It says, and upon her forehead was a name written, mystery, because it was a mystery at one time what this represented. Everybody wanted to know at one time what this represented. But the Spirit revealed it to his servants, the prophets. It says, mystery, Babylon the Great, which is America. Because Babylon represents confusion. And America is the biggest conglomeration of confusion in the world. You have every nation of every language here. You have every different religion. You could do and be whatever you want. You could be a freak, a zoophile, a pedophile. You could be a alphabet person. You can change your sex. Women can be over men. Women get more rights than men in this society. And pretty much through feminism and these different legislations out here that cater to these women, men have been spiritually castrated. And they're breaking down the masculinity of man. They're emasculating men. And pushing that, show a little tenderness, But there's a reason why a man is the way that he is. There's a reason why a man grows a beard. There's a reason why a woman is the way she is. There's a reason why a woman has breasts. And all these different curves and things of that nature. But not in this society. Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, because she's pushing all of these different philosophies and religions upon the people. And you could do and be whatever you want here. I was walking by this one restaurant. I'm not sure if it was I believe it was today. And I read, it says no this, no that, no, like no, like no, like in other words, this ain't allowed here, that ain't allowed here, that ain't allowed here. Then it said no queer phobia. See, so I was like shaking my head. It says, and abominations of the earth, because this place is the biggest abomination on the planet. That macho man spirit. When I know what I mean by that. Those of you brothers that know about the village people. That group from back in was that the 70s or 80s. So the abominations of the earth, because you have the alphabet people here. So now let's go from there. Let's go to 2nd Ezra in the Apocrypha, the 15th chapter. And this is one of the, this precepts. Well, actually, though, pretty much. The most of the precepts that I've been going through, like at the last 2 or 3 of them, those are some of the ones I, Spirit had me get from the brother, And he was getting down that this video here, the cup. The one he was doing today, he was getting down to. I guess the brother's getting over a cold or something like that, because he kept spitting phlegm up. 2nd Ezra 15, and we're going to go to 46. It says, and thou Asia, which is where? Over there. See, people think, oh, Asia, you Oriental. And all of a sudden, when you think of Oriental, All of a sudden you think about slanty eyes, chopsticks, you know, Fu Manchu slippers and things of that nature. Total ignorance. The word Oriental simply means you're from the Orient. What does the Orient mean? It means the East. Who is in the East? You have Australians in the East. You have Russians in the East. You have Pakistanis in the East. You have the so-called Indians, you know, from India in the East. People from different places out there that are from the East. They don't have slanty eyes, but this is the ignorance of this place. Just like they say, what? You are Asian. They think, again, slanty eyes. Hey, well, all those nations that I mentioned are Asian. The Russians are Asian. The Turkish people are Asian. You know, the Pakistanis and the Indian, you know, the East Indians, they're all Asians. So it says, and now Asia, meaning all of those different nations on that side of the world that are partakers of America and her doings and the things that she does. I'm just pulling up something here. Bear with me. Boom. Alright, it's a little big, but it's all good. Let me see if this one's a little smaller, because yeah, this one's better. Alright, now what we have here is a failure to communicate. Alright, what we have here is a map of Asia, regions of Asia. All of this is considered Asia. You know, they call this like the Middle East and all that, but it's all a part of, they're saying here is a part of regions of Asia. You have the Middle East, that's a region of Asia. You have Central Asia, which are all of these blue, everything here in blue, which you have Afghanistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Mongolia. These are all considered Asian regions. Then you have Russia and the Caucasus. Boom. I never seen the Russians with slanty eyes unless they mix with Moab in them. East Asia, which you have China, Korea, South Korea, Japan, Taiwan. Then you have South Asia, which is Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Nepal. And I was going to mention Nepal. Then you have Southeast Asia, which is down here. Myanmar, Laos, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, Philippines, you know, all of these. That's Asia. So this is who the Lord is speaking against. Because they're in bed with America. Don't think for one second that Russia ain't doing the same things that America is doing. They're just against it because the Lord got a spirit in them to be against America, to fulfill prophecy. But don't think that they haven't been partaking of them goodies too. But the Lord said He's going to put the hooks in their jaws and turn them back. Because this is one of the main nations that the Lord is going to use to judge America, as well as China and others, and even America's own allies of so-called Europe. But this is Asia right here. It says, and thou Asia that art partaker of the hope of Babylon. Now let's look up the word partaker. Let's see what it says here for partaker. Which we know partake means to, you know, to take part with. Partake. When you partake in something, you join in. Alright? It says the verb partake is almost always followed by the word in, and used in a somewhat format context. You partake in whatever activities you participate or take part in, like when you partake in a backyard football game. So they're partaking in America's doings. It says, and thou Asia that are the partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her person. Like I said, Do what? No. Let's see. Let me see. Let me see something. Look at this. All I did was just this is the main what you call it of America. All I did was type in McDonald's in Asia. Look. You know, I don't know if this is Chinese writing, well, Mandarin or whatever language it is, but there you go. I don't know what language that is there, but it says McDonald's restaurants in Asia. You know? You got your menu. Then you got your Royale with cheese. Let's see something. Let's see what happens if I put. Look at that. McDonald's in Russia. You see what I put? McDonald's in Russia. Boom. Russian writing. You know? However you pronounce that. Let's see what else we could find. Look at that. I typed in McDonald's in Singapore. Boom. McDonald's in Japan. Boom. See? Japan only menu. Look at that. Let's try a hard one. McDonald's in Bangladesh. Look at that. Ain't that about a something? India and Bangladesh. Look at that. You know what? Let me see. Look at that. McDonald's in Nigeria. See? McDonald's hits Africa. Look at this. Motherfucker. Oh Lord. I don't know. Yeah, this looks like it was. It was just somebody that actually just. This looks like a Photoshop picture, but that shit is crazy. But you have look at that. This is McDonald's in Marrakech. Yeah, that's crazy, man. Oh man. All right, so you get the idea. You could, type in for days, and you'll find more. And that's just one example out of many. All right, so it goes on saying, "Thou Asia that are a partake of the hope of Babylon and are the glory of a person." So if you are the glory of somebody's person, you're gonna imitate, mimic. Yeah, brother, put double dragon burger. You know? It says, "Woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her." So what does that mean? That means that she mimicked or she impersonated. Let's go back to impersonate. Impersonate means to pretend to be someone you're not. So she impersonated. You have made yourself just like her. The glory of her person. You took on that persona and has decked thy daughters in whoredom. Yeah, and you push your daughters to do that. Hey, shit. You got Hooters in China. You got Hooters in different places out there. Let me see something. It says here. They said they got a Hooters in South Africa. Yep. They got Hooters everywhere. Let me just type in. I just want to see, which we've done it before. Hooters in China. Look. In different nations, you have America's filthy ways out there. You know? Because what this causes, it causes degeneration. It causes whoredoms. It causes adultery. It causes lesbianism. You know? And this is why you're just like this place, because you're partaking of her sins. And as deck thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please and glory in thy lovers. And that's what you're doing, because you're pleasing and glorying in your lovers, which is who? America, Babylon the Great, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee. Yeah, because this was the main goal since America was established, because America was set up as the catapult for the New World Order. So in pushing all of this stuff out there, what really happened was America, imposed her will on these nations, and they felt mesmerized behind it, because the scriptures say that they wandered after the beast. So it goes on to say, thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions. Therefore saith the Most High, I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, to waste thy houses with destruction and death. And that's exactly what the Lord is going to do to you. And the glory of thy power shall be dried up as a flower. The heat shall arise that is sent over thee. Thou shalt be weakened as a poor woman with stripes, and as one chastised with the wounds, so that the mighty and lovers shall not be able to receive thee. Yeah, because all nations are going down. Now let's go from there to the book of Revelation 14 and 8. It says, and there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And there's many different examples you could go to. All right, now let's go to the one that I got from the brother Mike Aller, priest Mike Aller. Revelation 19 and 1. And after these things I heard a great voice of much people in heaven saying, Hallelujah, salvation and glory and honor and power unto the Lord our power, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. For true and righteous are his judgments, for he hath judged the great whore. See, which we read about in the book of Revelation 17. Which did corrupt the earth with her fornication, meaning with her adulteries, and hath avenged the blood of his servants at her hand. Yeah. So when we look up this word corrupt, let's see, I didn't look this up earlier. Let's look up the word corrupt. The word there is phthito. Phthito. It says to corrupt, to destroy. In the opinion of the Jews, the temple was corrupted or destroyed when anyone defiled or in the slightest degree damaged anything in it, or if its guardians neglected their duties. Yeah, and that's America. America has corrupted everything because they are strangers. To lead away a Christian church from the state of knowledge and holiness in which it ought to abide, to be destroyed, to perish, in an ethical sense, to corrupt, deprave. Yeah, and that's why it says here, probably strengthened from theo to pine or waste. And when you degenerate, you pine or waste away. Let's see what it says for degenerate. You know what? Let's type in pine. If you pine for someone, you desperately want to see them. There was another, what was the other word? Waste, let's put in degenerate. If something degenerates, it gets worse. See? Whether used as a verb, noun, or adjective, degenerate carries a sense of making worse or declining to a lower state. And that's exactly what happened. People who are degenerate or who exhibit degenerate behavior are often set apart from others. See? In part out of fear that their influence will degenerate the morals of the impressionable people around them. Yeah, see? And that's exactly what America has done. That's why in the 17th chapter of Revelation, it calls her Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. All right, so it says, for true and righteous are his judgments, for he hath judged the great whore which did corrupt the earth with her fornication, and hath avenged the blood of his servants at her hand. Because this is the main reason why the Lord is going to judge these nations, because of the controversy of Zion, the things that they did to us. Salaki, brothers. All right, let's go to the book of Nahum, chapter 3, verse 16. Matter of fact, let's just go straight to the point. 19. There is no healing of thy bruise. Thy wound is grievous. All that hear the bruit of thee shall clap their hands over thee. Yeah, because they're going to be glad when you go down. They're going to be sad because they won't be able to sell their wares or peddle their wares, but they'll be glad because the great oppressor is cast down. For upon whom hath not thy wickedness passed continually? Because you've been the one that's been pushing this madness to the world. And they ate it up like candy, thinking that it would better them, but it really made them worse. All right. Let's go to the Daniel 7. We're going to go to the 8th verse. It says, I considered the horns, and behold, this is the fourth beast. There came up among them another little horn, which is America, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were the eyes like the eyes of man, which represents their wisdom, which is wickedness. When you go to Ezekiel 28, it also speaks about that. It says, and a mouth speaking great things. And that great thing that they speaking, the world is wondering after that. They're partaking of that cup. They're getting involved with that. Let's go to Revelation 13 and 3. It says, and I saw one of his heads that was wounded to death. That's the Roman Empire. And his deadly wound was healed through the Renaissance period. And all the world wondered after the beast, because that's what they did. They wondered in admiration. They got caught up in the allure. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, who was like unto the beast, who was able to make war with him. And no one can make war with America and that whole conglomerate or conglomeration of the beast with their European allies. You know, the dragon being the Roman Empire, you know, and that's pretty much what you see. You see the Roman Empire in its revival state today, which with America being the headquarters, so to speak, or ancient Rome, and the European nations over there being her allies, you know, as they were in the past. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and Paul was given unto him to continue 42 months. So this great mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, the whole world followed behind that. The only ones that didn't get caught up in this were the elect. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against the Most High, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. Because this is one of the main things that the devil did when he came out of his prison sentence, was deceive the whole world, cover up the faces of the judges, destroy the images and the paintings and the frescoes and the statues of all the saints, to make the world believe that they were these people. Jeremiah 51 and 55. It says, because the Lord hath spoiled Babylon and destroyed out of her the great voice. See? So that voice is going to be silenced. That cup is going to be smacked out of your hands. And like Elder Yashwamba says, the Most High is going to slap the controller out of your hand. That remote control that you got, he's going to slap it out of your hand. So it says, because the Lord has spoiled Babylon and destroyed out of her the great voice. So that great voice, that mouth, speaking great things in blasphemy, the one that has been the main spokesperson. America that's been the biggest spokesperson on the world for all the generations and everything that is immoral. The Lord is going to shut that voice down. And that's why he's going to shut it by those nuclear missiles. It says, when her waves do roar like great waters, a noise of their voice is uttered. Yeah, these waves and all that is a representation of the destruction. So the Lord is going to overwhelm this hole and shut her pie hole so that she can't do any more of this wickedness that she's done. And when we jump to the 25th verse, it says, behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, saith the Lord, which destroyeth all the earth. And I will stretch out my hand upon thee, and roll thee down from the rocks, and will make thee a burnt mountain. And that's going to be the overall judgment upon this whore. And this is why the saints were singing praises and holiness and hallelujah to the Lord, because he judged the great whore, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication, and had avenged the blood of his servants at her hand. So the Lord got a bone to pick with you, Esau, and your whole American system, this Americanization that you have. All right, you want to play games? Americanization is the influence of American culture and business on other countries outside of the United States. And what you see here, a picture of McDonald's in China, including their media. Check out these nations. Cuisine. Check out these nations. Business practices. Check out these nations. Popular culture. Check out these nations. And that's why the Moabites was cursing Bruce Lee out, because he wanted the love of America. They were telling him he didn't have enough, love from his own countrymen, that he needed the love of America. Right. Popular culture is generally recognized by members of society as a set of practices, beliefs, and objects that are dominant or prevalent in a society at a given point in time, which dealing with America. Popular culture also encompasses the activities and feelings produced as a result of interaction with so on and so forth. Technology, it says, or political techniques. The term has been used since at least 1907. It is not a pejorative term, but is often used by critics in the target country who are against the influences. Yeah, because it's not about, talking down about these nations, It's just a thing that these nations are mimicking America. All right? And that's pretty much it. So pretty much this has been Babylon the Great, the standard of wickedness. And like I said, you could go on for days here. Yep, like the brother KDC put, the American dream. And the American dream is that abomination. Well, actually, where is it? Okay, I gotta go back. The American dream pretty much falls under the category of the mother of harlots. You could say abominations of the earth too, and pretty much Babylon the Great also. It all encompasses that. So with that, I pray that your brothers and your few sisters have been edified. This has been Babylon the Great, the standard of wickedness. And with that, I say shalom.